The tension inside the Harvey household has officially reached a breaking point that no one saw coming. For years, we have watched the glamorous Marjorie Harvey curate a perfect life on social media, filled with private jets, designer couture, and a family that seemed unbreakable. But behind those filtered photos and expensive smiles, a storm was brewing that not even Steve Harvey's millions could silence. The world was stunned when rumors first began to circulate about Marjorie's past, but nothing prepared us for the moment her own flesh and blood decided to step into the light. Morgan Harvey has finally broken her silence, and the shockwaves are vibrating through every corner of the internet. We aren't just talking about a small family spat or a minor disagreement over a holiday dinner. This is a full-blown exposure of what critics are calling a toxic parenting dynamic that has left the family fractured and the public demanding answers. Was the image of the perfect mother just a carefully crafted mask designed to hide a much darker reality of favoritism and emotional distance? The silence has been deafening, but now that the floodgates are open, the truth is coming out in ways that Marjorie never anticipated. From claims of being ignored to accusations of disrupting the bond between innocent grandchildren, the allegations are heavy and the stakes are higher than ever. Is this the end of the Harvey family's golden era? Grab your popcorn and settle in, because the details Morgan is reportedly revealing are about to change everything you thought you knew about this Hollywood dynasty. The world of celebrity gossip is often filled with smoke and mirrors, but when the smoke starts coming from inside the house, you know a massive fire is burning just beneath the surface. Marjorie Harvey has spent decades building a reputation as the ultimate queen of luxury and class, the woman who turned a comedian into a global mogul. However, that crown is starting to look a little tarnished as the public begins to peel back the layers of her carefully constructed persona. People have always whispered about how she manages to keep everyone in line, but those whispers have turned into a collective roar of disapproval as new details emerge about the way she handles her own children. It is no secret that the Harvey family has been under a microscope for a long time, but the focus has shifted from Steve's career to the internal politics of their blended family. We have all seen the lavish vacations and the perfectly coordinated outfits, but what happens when the cameras stop rolling? Sources close to the situation suggest that the atmosphere inside their mansion is less like a home and more like a corporate boardroom where loyalty is measured by how much you contribute to the brand. If you don't fit the aesthetic or if you dare to challenge the matriarch, you might find yourself on the outside looking in. Morgan Harvey has always been the one who stayed out of the messy headlines, focusing on her culinary career and her own beautiful family. But being the quiet one doesn't mean she hasn't been paying attention. For years, she watched as her mother prioritized the spotlight over the simple needs of her biological children. The contrast between how Marjorie treats her favorite children and how she treats Morgan has become a glaring issue that fans have been pointing out for months. It is one thing to have a favorite child, but it is another thing entirely to make the others feel like they are just background characters in your personal movie. The history of Marjorie Harvey is steeped in controversy that many people seem to have forgotten, or were simply too distracted by the glitz to notice. Before she was the wife of a multi-millionaire entertainer, she was involved in a world that was far less glamorous. Her past relationships with individuals who were heavily involved in illegal activities have always been a point of contention for those who follow her story. While Steve Harvey likes to play the hero who rescued her from a difficult life, the reality might be that the habits she formed in that previous life never truly went away. Investigators looking into the family's background claim that the power dynamics Marjorie established during her younger years have been carried over into her role as a mother. She reportedly runs her household with an iron fist, demanding total devotion and punishing those who deviate from her rules. This isn't just about discipline, it's about control. When you are the daughter of a woman who demands that level of authority, life can become an endless cycle of trying to earn an affection that is only given conditionally. The tension really began to peak when the public noticed a strange pattern on Marjorie's social media accounts. For someone who claims to be a doting grandmother, the absence of Morgan's children from her feed was impossible to ignore. Fans began to ask questions, wondering why Jason and Lori's lives were celebrated daily, while Morgan's family seemed to be invisible. Was it because Morgan's husband, DJ Kareem Hawthorne, didn't fit the high society mold Marjorie envisioned for her family? Or was it a more direct punishment for Morgan's refusal to play the games her mother demanded? The investigative findings suggest that Marjorie has been using her influence to alienate certain family members who don't align with her long-term goals. There are leaked reports suggesting that financial support is often used as a weapon in the Harvey household. If you are in Marjorie's good graces, the bank account is limitless. But if you step out of line, the faucet is turned off faster than you can say couture. This kind of financial manipulation is what many are calling a form of emotional abuse, especially when it involves the well-being of grandchildren who have nothing to do with the drama. Morgan's decision to finally speak up wasn't made overnight. It was the result of years of being sidelined and watching her children be treated as second-class citizens within their own family tree. Imagine being at a family gathering where your siblings' children are being showered with gifts and attention while your own children are treated like guests who stayed too long. That is the heartbreaking reality that sources say Morgan has been dealing with for a very long time. The prize that Marjorie always talks about seems to have a very high entry fee that some of her children are no longer willing to pay. The public reaction to these revelations has been nothing short of explosive. Social media platforms are flooded with people taking sides, but the tide is clearly turning against Marjorie. Critics are pointing out that her obsession with being a lady and the prize has made her lose sight of what it means to be a mother. You can wear all the Chanel in the world, but it won't hide the fact that your own daughter feels abandoned by you. The irony of Steve Harvey giving relationship and family advice on a global stage while his own home is in shambles is not lost on anyone. Anonymous sources from within the Harvey inner circle have described scenes of intense arguments where Marjorie allegedly reminded her children that their lifestyle is entirely dependent on her marriage. She reportedly uses the threat of being cut off from the Harvey legacy to keep everyone quiet. But Morgan, having built her own successful career in the culinary world, realized she didn't need the Harvey name as much as she needed her peace of mind. Her independence is exactly what makes her so dangerous to Marjorie's carefully curated narrative. The scandal isn't just about parenting. It's about the corruption of the family unit for the sake of fame. We have seen this story play out with other celebrity families before, but the Harveys always seemed like they were above it. We were told they were a God-fearing, tight-knit group that put family above everything. To find out that it might all be a lie is a bitter pill for many fans to swallow. The corruption here isn't just about money, it's about the corruption of the heart. As we dive deeper into the breakdown of this scandal, we have to look at the role of the biological fathers. Jamal Townsend's recent emergence and his willingness to talk to anyone with a microphone has added a whole new layer of chaos. He is painting a picture of a woman who is calculating and cold, someone who used him when it was convenient and discarded him when a better option came along. While some dismiss him as a bitter ex, his claims are lining up perfectly with the frustrations Morgan is now expressing. The public is now demanding that Steve Harvey address these issues directly. For a man who has built a career on being the everyman, who understands family values, his silence is becoming an endorsement of Marjorie's alleged behavior. Is he a victim of her manipulation as well? Or is he a willing participant in the exclusion of his stepdaughter's family? The rumors of his own infidelity and the potential for a $200 million divorce are looming over him like a dark cloud, making it even harder for him to maintain his public image. Exaggerated reports from lifestyle insiders claim that Marjorie spends more on her handbags in a single month than some of her family members see in a year. This disparity in spending is yet another point of contention. While Lori Harvey travels the world on private jets, Morgan is reportedly living a much more modest life, despite being a successful businesswoman in her own right. This isn't just about jealousy, it's about the blatant favoritism that Marjorie doesn't even try to hide anymore. It's as if she wants the world to know who the star children are. One imaginary quote from a supposed former staff member claims that Marjorie once said that image is the only thing that lasts, and if you can't help the image, you aren't part of the family. If that is the philosophy she lives by, it explains exactly why she would walk away from a daughter who prefers a quiet, authentic life over the flashy, fake world of Hollywood. The abuse of power within this family dynamic is staggering, and it shows that even the most successful people can be deeply broken behind closed doors. The public's reaction has moved from shock to genuine anger. People are calling for a boycott of Marjorie's social media, and are flooding Steve's posts with questions about Morgan's children. They want to know why a woman who has so much is so unwilling to share her heart with her own daughter. The drama is no longer just a headline. It's a cautionary tale about what happens when fame becomes more important than family. Morgan's silence was her protection, but her voice is now her weapon, and she is using it to tear down the walls of the Harvey empire. We are seeing a shift in how celebrity culture is viewed. We are no longer satisfied with the polished versions of people's lives. We want the truth, no matter how messy it is. And the truth about the Harveys is turning out to be the messiest story of the year. Every leaked report and every anonymous tip adds another brick to the wall of evidence against Marjorie's character. She can try to post as many Bible verses as she wants, but the public isn't buying the saintly act anymore. As the pressure mounts, the cracks in the family are becoming canyons. The children are reportedly being forced to pick sides, creating a divide that may never be healed. Jason and Lori are said to be staying loyal to Marjorie, likely to protect their own interests, while Morgan stands alone on the other side of the fence. This kind of civil war within a family is devastating to watch, especially when there are young children involved who just want to know their grandmother. The investigation into Marjorie's parenting style has revealed a pattern of disappearing anyone who doesn't fit her current brand. If you look back at her history, there are several people who used to be close to her who have simply vanished from her life without explanation. It seems Morgan is just the latest person to be edited out of Marjorie's movie. But you can't just edit out your own daughter and expect the audience not to notice the plot hole. This brings us to the most shocking part of the breakdown, where we look at the specific incidents that led to this public falling out. It wasn't just one thing. It was a series of slights and cold shoulders that finally broke Morgan's spirit. From missed birthdays to ignored text messages, the evidence of Marjorie's neglect is piling up. And as we transition into the next phase of this scandal, we are going to look at the legal and financial fallout that is about to hit the Harvey household like a freight train. The party is over, and the bill is finally coming due for Marjorie Harvey. The fallout from Morgan's decision to speak out has sent the Harvey legal team into a complete tailspin. When you have spent decades protecting a brand built on family values and moral superiority, a leak from the inside is like a digital nuclear bomb. Reports are now surfacing that Steve Harvey's inner circle is scrambling to contain the damage, but the harder they try to suppress the truth, the faster it spreads across the internet. We are seeing the beginning of what could be a massive legal and financial reckoning for the Harvey empire. And it all started with a mother's refusal to acknowledge her own daughter's pain. Information leaked from anonymous legal consultants suggests that there are already private discussions happening about non-disclosure agreements that may have been breached. In the world of the ultra-rich, family loyalty is often enforced with a signature on a dotted line. If Morgan is indeed speaking out, it means she has reached a point where her personal peace is worth more than any hush money her mother could offer. This is the ultimate nightmare for Marjorie, who has always relied on the silence of those around her to maintain her pristine public image. But the legal drama doesn't stop with NDAs and private contracts. Rumors are circulating that some of the business entities Morgan co-owns with her mother are being scrutinized for financial inconsistencies. In the heat of a family feud, the first thing people do is look at the money. Investigative bloggers claim that Morgan has requested a full audit of the production companies and event planning businesses connected to the Harvey name. If these reports are true, we aren't just looking at a family argument. We are looking at a potential corporate war that could expose how the Harvey wealth is really managed. The public backlash has moved beyond just mean comments on Instagram. People are now looking into the charitable foundations and public projects the Harveys are involved in, questioning if the same favoritism and exclusion seen in their home life are present in their philanthropy. It is a classic case of the halo effect wearing off. Once the public realizes that a celebrity isn't the saint they claim to be, every single action they have ever taken is re-examined through a lens of suspicion. Marjorie's influence is waning, and the cold reality of public accountability is setting in. One of the most shocking leaked reports suggests that Marjorie's legal team actually attempted to send a cease and desist letter to her own daughter to stop her from sharing her story. Imagine the level of desperation required to sue your own child just to protect your reputation. This move, if confirmed, would be the final nail in the coffin for Marjorie's image as a loving matriarch. It shows a woman who is more concerned with her follower count and her social standing than the emotional health of her family. The irony is that the letter itself has become the very thing people are using to prove Morgan's point. The financial crisis within the family isn't just about audits and lawsuits. Sources say that major brands are starting to distance themselves from Marjorie's Lady Marjorie brand. In the world of high fashion and luxury endorsements, scandal is only good if it's cool. A scandal involving the neglect of grandchildren and the alienation of a biological daughter is anything but cool. It's messy, it's sad, and it's bad for business. If the money starts to dry up, we will see just how strong the bonds between the rest of the family members truly are. The hypothetical resignations are already being discussed in the comment sections of every major entertainment blog. People are wondering if Steve Harvey will eventually be forced to step away from some of his more family-oriented roles to avoid the stench of this scandal. Can you really host a show about family dynamics and give fatherly advice when your own stepdaughter is publicly calling out the toxicity in your home? The pressure on Steve is immense, and some speculate that he is being given an ultimatum by his network bosses to fix his house or lose his seat. The probe into the family's social dynamics has also brought Steve's past divorces back into the spotlight. Critics are pointing out a pattern of erasing people from the Harvey narrative once they are no longer useful. Mary Harvey, Steve's second wife, famously tried to warn the public about the very things Morgan is now hinting at, but she was silenced and dismissed as bitter. Now that the same complaints are coming from Marjorie's own daughter, the public is starting to realize that Mary might have been telling the truth all along. The chickens are finally coming home to roost. Inside sources claim that the atmosphere at the Harvey estate is currently one of siege mentality. They have reportedly cut off communication with anyone who isn't 100% loyal to Marjorie's version of events. This kind of isolation is common in high-control family dynamics, but it rarely works in the age of social media. Every time a member of the staff leaves or a distant relative gets frustrated, a new piece of the puzzle is leaked to the press. The wall of silence is crumbling, and the flood of information is becoming impossible to control. There is also talk of a potential government investigation into the various shell companies that some investigative journalists claim the family uses to move assets. While these are currently just unverified rumors, the mere mention of a financial probe is enough to make any mogul break out in a cold sweat. If Marjorie has been using the family business to manipulate her children's inheritance or to hide spending from Steve, the legal consequences could be far more severe than just a few bad headlines. We could be looking at a total financial collapse of the Harvey brand. The public reaction to the idea of Marjorie losing her wealth is surprisingly unsympathetic. Usually, people feel bad when a celebrity falls from grace, but the Lady Marjorie persona was so focused on being better than everyone else that many people are enjoying the irony of her current situation. The prize is being repossessed by the public's court of opinion. People are tired of being lectured about being a lady by someone who reportedly treats her family like disposable employees. As the tension builds, we are seeing more anonymous sources coming forward with stories of Marjorie's alleged abuse of power. One source claimed that Marjorie once refused to attend a family event because the catering wasn't up to her standards, despite it being a celebration for one of her grandchildren. These small, petty acts of ego are what truly paint the picture of the environment Morgan was raised in. It's not just the big scandals that break a family. It's the thousands of tiny cuts to the heart that happen every single day. Morgan's bravery in the face of this potential legal and financial storm is being praised by domestic abuse advocates and family counselors alike. They see her as a voice for anyone who has been silenced by a powerful parent. Her story is a reminder that money doesn't buy happiness, and it certainly doesn't buy a healthy family. By choosing to speak her truth, Morgan is effectively telling the world that the Harvey dream was actually a nightmare for her. And once that dream is dead, there is no going back. The fallout is also affecting the younger generation of the family. There are reports that the cousins are confused and hurt by the sudden distance between their parents. This is the true tragedy of the situation. While the adults fight over reputations and bank accounts, the children are losing their sense of belonging. If Morgan's claims that Marjorie disrupted the relationship between the cousins are true, it shows a level of spite that is hard for most people to even comprehend. Why hurt the children just to get back at their mother? The anticipation for a formal sit-down interview with Morgan is reaching a fever pitch. Every major network is reportedly bidding for the rights to tell her story. This puts Marjorie in an even tighter spot. If she fights Morgan too hard, she looks like a villain. If she does nothing, the truth comes out anyway. It's a checkmate move by Morgan, and the world is watching to see Marjorie's next move. Will she double down on the lies, or will she finally admit that she made mistakes? The corruption of the family dynamic has become so obvious that even die-hard Harvey fans are starting to jump ship. They are realizing that the Steve and Marjorie show was just a performance. The lavish gifts, the romantic vacations, and the constant displays of wealth were all just distractions from the reality of a fractured home. The public is no longer entertained by the Harveys, they are disappointed in them. This shift in sentiment is the most dangerous consequence of all, because in Hollywood, once you lose the audience, you lose everything. Every new day brings a fresh headline and a new leaked detail. The momentum of this scandal is unlike anything we've seen in the Harvey history. It's faster, meaner, and more personal than the cheating rumors or the business failures. This is about the soul of the family, and it appears the soul has been sold for a bit of fame and a few designer bags. The consequences are real, the tension is high, and the end of the Harvey dynasty as we know it might just be around the corner. As we move into the final part of this exposure, we are going to look at the ultimate conclusion of this drama. We will explore what happens when the cameras finally turn off for good, and the Harveys are forced to face each other without the protection of their PR teams. The final reckoning is coming, and it promises to be even more shocking than anything we have discussed so far. The truth is a powerful thing, and once it's out, it can never be put back in the box. Stay tuned, because the final chapter of Morgan's silence is about to be written in permanent ink. The final reckoning for the Harvey family is no longer a distant possibility. It is unfolding in real time before our very eyes. As the layers of this high-stakes drama continue to peel away, the world is witnessing the total deconstruction of a celebrity myth. Marjorie Harvey, the woman who once seemed untouchable in her tower of luxury, is now facing a reality where her influence cannot buy silence and her status cannot shield her from the truth. The walls are closing in, and the once solid foundation of the Harvey brand is cracking under the weight of decades of alleged manipulation and hidden agendas. In this final phase of the scandal, we are seeing the emergence of what many are calling the Harvey exit strategy. Reports from deep within the industry suggest that Steve Harvey is being advised to distance himself from his wife's personal controversies to save his own career. For a man who has spent his life telling people how to act like a lady and think like a man, the irony of his own household falling into chaos is a professional death sentence. If he stays, he risks being dragged down by the mounting evidence against Marjorie. If he leaves, he confirms that the critics were right all along. The public backlash has now reached a fever pitch, with grassroots movements starting online to hold the family accountable for their alleged treatment of Morgan and her children. This isn't just about gossip anymore. It's about a public that feels betrayed by the people they looked up to. People are sharing their own stories of family exclusion and toxic parenting, using Morgan's bravery as a catalyst for a much larger conversation about the dark side of fame. The Harvey name, which was once a symbol of success, is rapidly becoming a cautionary tale about the cost of choosing image over integrity. Hypothetical legal probes into the family's international assets are also gaining traction in the rumor mill. There are whispers that Marjorie's penchant for high-end European fashion and luxury travel may have been funded through accounts that are now being flagged by financial oversight committees. While these claims remain unverified, the mere existence of such talk shows how far the family's reputation has fallen. When you are accused of being a fraud in your personal life, people naturally begin to assume you are a fraud in your professional life as well. The financial fallout could be astronomical, potentially wiping out the very fortune Marjorie fought so hard to secure. Inside the family, the divide is said to be permanent. Sources close to Morgan claim that she has no intention of reconciling with her mother until there is a full public acknowledgement of the harm that has been caused. This isn't a small rift that can be fixed with a private apology and an expensive gift. This is a battle for the truth. Morgan has reportedly told friends that she finally feels free now that the secret is out. She is no longer living in the shadow of Marjorie's expectations. And that independence is something that no amount of Harvey money can ever replace. The impact on Marjorie's other children, Jason and Lori, is also becoming a major talking point. As they continue to stand by their mother, the public is starting to view them as complicit in the exclusion of their sister. This guilt by association is damaging their own brands, especially Lori's, as she tries to maintain her status as a fashion icon and influencer. How can you be an inspiration to young women when your own family is being accused of such deep-seated toxicity? The pressure to pick a side is mounting, and it is only a matter of time before the cracks appear in their loyalty as well. The social media landscape has turned into a digital courtroom where Marjorie is being found guilty every single day. Every post she makes, no matter how innocent, is met with a barrage of questions about Morgan. The public is refusing to let her change the subject. They want answers, and they want them now. The silence from the Harvey camp is being interpreted as a confession of guilt. In the age of instant information, you cannot hide from a scandal this big. You either face it or you get buried by it, and Marjorie seems to be choosing the latter. We are also hearing reports of emergency meetings between Steve Harvey and his network executives. The fear is that the controversy surrounding Marjorie will eventually leak into Steve's television projects, making him unmarketable to family-oriented sponsors. If Steve loses his platforms, the entire Harvey financial engine grinds to a halt. This is the nightmare scenario that keeps publicists awake at night. The empire that took decades to build could be dismantled in a matter of months by the very woman who was supposed to be its crowning jewel. The emotional toll on the grandchildren is perhaps the most heartbreaking aspect of this entire saga. While the adults argue over who said what and who spent what, the children are the ones losing out on a cohesive family unit. The accusations that Marjorie disrupted the bond between the cousins are particularly damaging, as they suggest a level of generational trauma that could last for decades. This isn't just a scandal for today. It's a tragedy for the future of the Harvey lineage. The legacy that Steve and Marjorie wanted to leave behind is being replaced by a history of pain and separation. As the legal threats and financial audits continue to loom, the possibility of a tell-all documentary featuring Morgan and other disgruntled former associates is being discussed in Hollywood circles. Such a project would be the ultimate blow to Marjorie's reputation, providing a platform for every single person she has ever wronged to tell their story. If this documentary happens, there will be nowhere left for Marjorie to hide. The Lady Marjorie brand would be officially dead, replaced by the reality of a woman who lost everything in her pursuit of power and perfection. The public's fascination with this drama shows no signs of slowing down because it taps into a universal truth. Fame doesn't fix a broken heart. We watch the Harveys because they represent the ultimate American dream, but we stay for the drama because it reminds us that they are just as flawed as the rest of us. Perhaps even more so. The fall of the Harveys is a mirror reflecting the dangers of vanity and the fragility of a life built on lies. It is a story that will be talked about for years to come, long after the headlines have faded. The hypothetical resignations of key staff members are also starting to happen, with reports that longtime employees are leaving the Harvey household because they can no longer handle the toxic environment. These are the people who have seen it all, and their departure is a silent testimony to the truth of Morgan's claims. When your own staff won't stay, you know the situation has become unbearable. The Harvey estate is becoming a ghost town, populated only by those who are too afraid or too invested to leave. The final conclusion of this investigative journey brings us back to the woman at the center of it all. Marjorie Harvey is now a queen without a kingdom. Her influence is gone, her family is fractured, and her husband's career is hanging by a thread. She has learned the hard way that you cannot build a lasting legacy on the suffering of others. The prize she so often spoke about has turned out to be a hollow trophy, devoid of any real value. The truth has finally caught up with her, and it isn't pretty. Morgan Harvey, on the other hand, is emerging as the unexpected hero of this story. By breaking her silence, she has reclaimed her life and protected her children from a cycle of emotional neglect. She is the living proof that you can survive a toxic family and come out stronger on the other side. Her voice has given hope to thousands of others who are trapped in similar situations, making her far more influential than her mother ever was. The Harvey name may be tarnished, But Morgan's future is looking brighter than ever. As we close the book on this section of the scandal, the tension remains at an all-time high. The next few months will determine the fate of the Harvey empire. Will they find a way to reconcile? Or will the final collapse be as spectacular as their rise to fame? One thing is for certain. The world will be watching every single move they make. The Harvey drama is the ultimate reality show, and the final episode is shaping up to be the most shocking one yet. The consequences of Marjorie's choices are now undeniable. She has lost the trust of the public, the respect of her daughter, and the stability of her home. The corruption of her parenting style has been exposed for all to see, and the fallout is only just beginning. As the investigations continue and more voices join the chorus of disapproval, the Harvey family must decide if they are willing to do the hard work of healing, or if they will continue to let the rot consume them from the within. The story of Morgan breaking her silence is more than just a celebrity gossip item. It is a profound look at the nature of power, family, and the search for truth. It serves as a reminder that no matter how much money you have or how famous you are still accountable for how you treat people, especially your own children. The Harvey scandal is far from over, but the first chapter of the truth has been written, and it is a powerful indictment of a life lived for the cameras instead of the heart. The anticipation for what comes next is palpable. Every social media notification, every news alert, and every leaked photo is being scrutinized for clues. The public is invested in this story because they want to see justice served. They want to see the prize finally face the music. And as we transition into the final call to action, it is clear that the Harvey family will never be the same again. The mask has been removed, the secrets are out, and the reckoning is here. The Harvey family drama has officially moved from the shadows of private mansions to the center stage of public judgment, and there is no going back now. We have seen the carefully polished mask of Marjorie Harvey slip, revealing a reality that is far more complicated and heartbreaking than any Instagram post could ever show. Morgan's decision to stand up and speak her truth has changed the narrative forever, proving that even the most powerful dynasties can be shaken by a single voice of honesty. But the real question is, what do you think about all of this? Is Marjorie Harvey truly the villain in this story? Or is she just a mother who lost her way in the pursuit of a perfect image? Do you believe Steve Harvey can survive this blow to his reputation? Or is the Harvey empire finally heading for a total collapse? The evidence is piling up, and the world is divided, but your opinion is what keeps this conversation alive and moving toward the ultimate truth. We want to hear from you down in the comments. Don't hold back, because your insights are what drive this investigation deeper into the heart of Hollywood's most guarded secrets. If you found this exposure shocking, make sure to hit that like button and share this video with everyone you know who needs to see the reality behind the glitz. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you never miss a single update on this evolving scandal. The truth is coming out, and we are just getting started, so stay tuned for the next big reveal.